we are going to see the new concept called data table. Now, what is data table? Now, data table is basically an Excel sheet, where this Excel sheet is default attached to the script. Now, we can use data table, that is an Excel sheet which is attached to the script, or we can use Excel sheet, Excel itself. Now, what is exactly data table? Data table is also called parameterization. Data table is also called parameterization. Now, what exactly is this data table? Right. Now, when we are looking into data table, why do we use, or what is this concept of data table? Till today, when we were logging into the application, say example flight reservation application, we used just one user, one agent name and password. Right. Now, when you work in a company, when you are testing an application, you are not going to use only one username. They might give you multiple usernames. Right? They might give you 10 usernames to test. How are you going to add these 10 usernames? Are you going to go into the script? Are you going to go into the script like this and go to login portion, and every iteration, every time when you run, are you going to change the name here? Say change the name from Rajesh to Monica or Chitra or whoever the person's name is. Are you going to change every time? No. So what we are going to do is we are going to access data table. What is the data table? We are going to put the value. We are going to put all the values that we are going to use in the application, and call them in our script. So using data table, we are going to put all the values that you want. Say example, I have Rajesh as the username, Monica, Chitra, Shirisha. I have like this 4 usernames that I need to use for flight reservation application. Now, how do I use all the 4 usernames? So we are going to take all these 4 usernames, put it into the data table, and then we will use the function to call the data table values into our script. So we'll use a function to call these data table values into our script. So how do you enable? Let's see how to enable data table first. Okay. Where is my? Yeah. Now, how do we enable data table? Here, I am already seeing the data table here. If in case it's not coming up for you, go to View, Data Table. Now, this data table that you see here, right? This data table that you see here, you can move it up and down. Okay. This data table that you see here is basically an Excel sheet. Where is this Excel sheet located? Let's go to the this script where it is saved. So I'm going to go to the folder where the script is saved. In C drive. In C drive, I'm going to go to Rajesh. In QTP, I have a folder called flight reservations. Now flight reservation is the script. When I save the script, it automatically created as a folder, right? Now if I go into this script, you will see a default XLS. This is the Excel sheet that is showing in the data table. Now mind you, if you don't have Excel sheet in the system, data table will not be enabled. You will not be able to see this. You should have Excel installed in your system in order for this data table to come up like this. Okay, if you see that data table is not showing, that means your Excel sheet is not, there is no Excel application in your script, in your system. Okay, now this is where your default XLS is. Now you can edit here as well as you can go and edit in your default XLS. It will reflect here. But if you are editing in the default XLS, close the script and then do the edit, because it is not a live update. If you edit this and then you save the script and close, what will do? It will overwrite on top of it, and all what you saved will go. So always close the script, complete the editing, close the Excel sheet, then open the script if you are editing in the Excel sheet. Now, this is basically the Excel sheet that is showing in your data table, but you don't have all the options available for you as you have in the Excel sheet. Okay, there are only very few options available. Now, in your Excel sheet, you cannot change the column name, right? In your Excel sheet, you cannot change the column name. If you open the Excel sheet, say example, I'm opening the default XLS. You see, I cannot change the column name A, B, C, D. I cannot change it. Okay. But here you can change it. I'll be showing you how to do that. Okay. I'll be showing you how to do that. Now, in your data table, you will see there are two tabs. One global tab and one action tab. This action tab, global tab, is the tab where the variables that you put, the data that you put here can be accessed in any action. Okay. Also, there are certain things that are specific to global. I will explain to you coming as we are going with today's class. I will be explaining those things too. Action. Action 1 is this. Every action that you create, it will create a separate data sheet for you. Every action will have a separate data sheet. Can you tell me, Adri, can you tell me how do I add another action?
Another action?
Yeah.
Right click on it. No, I don't know, Rajesh.
Anyone else? Tell me.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go to insert.
Insert.
Call to new action.
Call to new action. And give the action name here.
Action. Yes.
Now I'm going to give the action name. Okay. Yes. Now the moment I hit enter, a new action is created. And if you see here, with the same action name, another sheet is created. Can you see down? Can you see down?
Yes.
Here?
Yes.
There is another action with another sheet with the same action name created.
Okay.
Okay. This action sheet will get automatically associated. This data sheet will get automatically associated to the action. Okay. Now, let me write this. Fine. Now, let me clean up this. Let me clean up this action. I don't want this action. Okay. Now let me save this and open a new script. Fine. Now every action, okay, no, I don't need this. Fine. Now every action, as I told you, will be associated with a data sheet. The moment you change the action name, automatically the data sheet will be changed to. You will see here. Okay. You see here the data table sheet is also changed. You cannot create a new sheet. You cannot create a new sheet. You can create a sheet only when you create a new action. Okay. Now, how do I change the names of the column? I want to change the column name. Just go double click on A. You see this pops up. Now I will say whatever column name. I'm going to put username there. Username. Then in the next column, I'm going to put password. Right? Now, in the data table, right? In the data table, you see only the first column of the table is editable. First row of the table is default editable. The second row, you cannot enter values in the second. Oh, give me a second. Give me a second. What did we do? Sheet, edit, clear, all. Should not allow me to. How is it allowing me to create? Okay. Now wait, hold on. So in by default, you see here by default only the first row you can is allowed to edit. The second row, if I try to enter values in the second row, third row, it will not allow me to enter. Why it will not allow me to enter? Only when I enter the first row, I can enter the second row. Say example, I'm putting here, Rajesh. Now my second row, you see that row, there is an automatic line that comes up. The second row will be allowed, you can write here. You see? Now if I skip the third row and I write on the fourth row, you see it's not allowing me to write on the fourth row. Okay? So that is how it works. So you have to write, you have to enter data one row at a time. You cannot skip a row. Okay? Guys, you are able to understand till now? Any questions? Any questions? Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to show you, well, let me delete this. Yes. Now, even though I deleted the data in the column, right, still two rows, it can see that two rows are highlighted with a straight line. That means the two rows are still editable. You see, I can still edit. But even though I didn't do the data in the first, because we already created. So now if you want to clean up this, how do you clean it up? Even though you put delete, that two rows will not clean up. So I have to select like this on the numbers, right click, go to edit, clear all. Now you see the second row is not, see still it's not cleaning up. Data, clear all, then clear, go to test data, clear, formats, clear, content. Now still I am able to edit. Okay. That's the problem with this. Okay. Now, what it is that we have two sheets, as I told you, global and action. Now, I have global sheet, I have action sheet. What is the difference between the global and action? Let's see what is the difference between global and action. Global sheet and action sheet. Now for global, right, for every row of global, all rows of action will be executed. Let's see what is this. Let you win. For every row of global, all the rows of action will be executed. What does this mean? Let's see what does this mean. Okay. Let's see what does this mean. Let's see what does this mean. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean it up. Then I'm going to start a new test. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I said for every row of global, all the rows of action will be executed. Let's see this. Now I'm going to say the first row as Rajesh. Okay. And in my action, I'm going to say example, Chitra. Okay. Now in my global, I'm going to say message box. I'm just going to give here MSGBOX. What will I give? Okay. Okay. Now let's see. I have one row of global and one row of action enabled. So let's see this. Now I'm going to run this. Run. It come one time. That's all. Because one row of global, one row of action. Right? If you see the result, you see test iteration 1. Okay? You see here test iteration 1. Let it load. Only one time it got iterated. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep one row of global and two rows of action. Okay, so now I have enabled two rows of action and one row of global. Let's run this. Now also you will see only one time it will run. The welcome will come only once. Why? Remember guys, yesterday in the actions we saw this when we went to keyword view, went into test flow, right clicked on this and said action call properties. We saw this window yesterday where I said run one iteration only is kept as default. Now I'm going to change it to run on all rows. Okay. Now I'm going to change this to run on all rows. Now you see the difference. Now let's run this. Now I'm going to run this. Run. Welcome came once. Welcome came time, second time. So let's see the test result. You see iteration 1. Now you have iteration 1, iteration 2. Let's see that in debug mode. Let's see that in debug mode. I want to show you this in debug mode. Let's run. Okay, I'm going to data tables. Now you see, first row of global is highlighted. First row of action is highlighted. Now I'm going to hit run this. Function F11. So the first welcome is come. Now you see, first row of global, second row of action. So for every one row of global, all the rows that are there in the action will get executed. So if I run this, another welcome will come. Let's see one more time. I'm going to put here another. So now I have 2 rows in my global and 2 rows in my action. Can anyone tell me how many times I will see the welcome? Any guess? Ha.
Will it be 4 times?
How?
First row of global. Like
first row of global will execute.
First row of action and then the second row of action. So 2
Correct.
here.
So 2.
And then the second row of global for 2 rows of action. So 4.
4. Perfect. Let's run this in. Okay. Now you see first row of global, first row of action. Okay. I'm going to run this. So I got 1. Now still we are in the first row of global, right? And in the second row of action.
Right.
So 2. Now where are we? Now we are in second row of global. You can see?
Yes.
And then second row of global and first row of action.
Yes.
So we already had 2. Now it is 3. Now you see second row of global
And the second row of action.
second row of action. So I'll have 4. You're getting me?
Yes.
You understood this difference?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions, guys? Any? Yep.
To use the data table, then we need to change the option from iteration to what is the option we chose?
Run on all rows. Yes, we need to change that. But going forward,
Okay.
now when you are taking the script and running it in your machine,
Okay.
it's not necessary that you will go and do that setting change.
Oh, okay.
So are you going to put that in the script? No, we're not going to. Like how we handled launching the application within the script, right?
Yes.
Similarly, we'll handle it within the script. But currently, I'm just showing you through that option.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wondering what are the headers going to
Louder.
Hello?
Louder.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it's very low.
I don't know. Hello?
Hello? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. I was just wondering what are the headers going to be on these columns and the rows? The A, B,
We're going to
C,
see.
and 1, 2, 3?
You hear this one, right?
Yes.
You're talking about ABCD, right?
Right.
Yeah, when we work with our flight reservation, you will start knowing what to enter.
Okay.
Currently, we have not yet gone to that. We are just learning what is datasheet.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Fine. Now, I want to do this same thing by taking this value into the system. Okay, I wanted to take this value into the sheet and print that. So let's see how to do that. Now, if you want to take a value from the global sheet, usually what we do, in our scripts, we tend to avoid entering data in global sheet, because for every line of data, every line of every row of global, all the rows of action will get executed. That's a pretty confusing way of setting up things. So we're not going to use that. So we're going to work with actions. Usually we work with only action sheet. Okay. Now I'm going to take the data from the action sheet and print these two names that I have put in. How do I do that? For that, we are going to use a function called data table dot data table dot get sheet, I think, right? Yeah. No, data table dot value. Okay. Now here when I say data table dot value, you see here it is asking for the parameter ID. What is the parameter ID? The column name is your parameter ID, and then it is asking for the sheet ID. Sheet ID is the sheet name. So now, in order to give the parameter name, how do I change the name of this parameter? So what we will do, say for example, since I'm giving the names here, I'm going to call this username. So I'll double click on A. I'll give user. You can even give A as the parameter. No, nothing wrong. But for learning purpose, I am doing this. I'm going to give here Mercury. Okay, Mercury. And I'm going to call my column B as password. Okay. Now, what is my parameter name? My parameter name is username. So I will give as username, comma, in which sheet it is available? It is available in your action sheet. So I will say action 1. That's the sheet name, right? Action 1. Now, how do I get it into my sheet, into my script? I have to assign it into a variable. So I will say uname equal to. Now let's print the uname. So let's run this. You see, it printed me Chitra. Now it printed me Monica. See, it printed both Chitra and Monica for me, because I have put it in run on all rows. Guys, you are able to understand how did I take the data from my Excel sheet, my data sheet into this? Any questions, guys, on this? Any questions? I just used the function called data table. That's my function dot. What is the method? I used the method value, and in bracket I used username, comma, username is the column name. That's the parameter ID, comma, sheet name. And I passed it into this particular variable and I printed this variable. Any questions, guys, for this? Fine. So what we will do, let's take this, let's go to our flight reservation. Let's go to our flight reservation. I'm going to save this as underscore data table. Okay. Now I'm going to skip the global. I don't want to use the global. I will go to actions. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the name here. So I'm going to change the value of A as AG name. That's the agent name, right? AG name. Password is the same. There is no difference in the password. If the password is different, then you guys give another column as password. Now I'm going to put the agent name here. Yes. Okay. Now I have 4 agent names added to my sheet. I have 4 agent names added to my sheet. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to bring this value into my sheet. So I'm going to put uname equal to data table dot value of, what do I need? I need the AG name, comma, sheet ID is ACTION action 1. Okay, I'm going to change this uname to AG name. Now, okay. Now I'll replace, instead of this, I'll replace this variable here. Right. Now what else I want to replace? As I'm seeing here, I want to replace this one. What I wanted to give different flight locations. So let me go in multiple information, right? And then I name, okay. Name, that is a function in the script, so I'll just give nam. I will copy this whole thing here and put it here. Same thing. So I'll know who's logged in. Now, what else I need here? That's all. So I'll give here TNVR Denver to or ANKFU RT Frankfurt. Okay, flight number comes from this application. Are you giving the flight number? That means you are telling about this, right? Oh, okay. Give me a second. 1105. Oops. 0515. Frankfurt. Say Frankfurt to London. If you are telling about this, yeah, tickets. We'll add the tickets. If you are telling about this, you have to sit and type that. Or you can give, why do you want to do that? Just select whatever you want from this. Don't complicate your scripts, right? Now I'll give tickets. Tickets. Fine. Anything else that you guys we can use? Okay. Fine. Now Denver to Frankfurt, I will say Paris. Paris to, what is the other place? Paris to London. Then I want to go to Portland. Portland to Seattle. SEA. Seattle spelling is correct. SEATTLE, correct. Seattle. And Zurich to Sydney. So Sydney to Zurich. Why Zurich is not getting selected? Yeah. ZURICH. ZURICH. Perfect. Now you want to give specific dates? Yeah, let's give dates. So if I wanted to insert a sheet, data table, format, file, how do you insert a sheet? Okay, so I want to select this, go to edit, insert. So now I'll give this as date. That date is also a variable that's available. So we'll give that. And now I want to give a date here. So date I'm going to give 11 0 11 20 15. Okay. I'll give something 5 12 20 15 12 10 19 15. Fine. So I'm giving the date, agent name, fly from. Actually, this should have come here. Cut. Insert. Okay. Now let me delete this. Delete. I'll see TAT. Okay. Fine. Now I have date, fly from, fly to, name of the person, and the number of tickets. So I'll say 2, 3, 5, and 9. All these tickets I want to book. Now I have to call all these values in. So first I called up the agent name. I put the agent name here. Then I have to call the date. So I don't need this. Let it be there. I'm not going to comment it. So I'm going to take this out. I'm going to copy this. And let me put it here. I'm going to say date from data table. What is this thing? DAT. Action 1. I will say DAT. I'll copy this. Put it here. This is what? This is fly from. So FLY FROM. Action 1. I'll just say FLY FROM. Copy. This would be flight 2. This will be the same 2. And this would come here. Next again, I'm going to copy, paste. This would be NAM. This would be NAM. And this would be NAM. And the last one, ticket. I'll say TIC. Okay. Okay. Now I have done this. So let me replace all these things. That would come in that place where date is. That's this. Then fly from would come here where I say select fly from. This would be fly to. Fly to. Then NAM where I would give here. This would be tick. Fine. Now let's see whether it is taking the values and inserting it. So I'm going to save this. Now I'm going to run only one row now, just for my validation, whether it is taking everything correct. So I'm going to go into test flow. I click. It should be done one iteration only. Perfect. So now I'm going to go into my expert view and I'm going to run this. So all I need is I want to check whether it is taking the first row without any errors. It's taken the first row. Perfect. What happened? Oh, flight reservation was already open, so it got confused. Okay. Fine. Let's run this again. You see the first row is dark. It's highlighted because that's the row currently your script is working. Mm-mm. Zero 5. Why? What happened? Hold on. Let's see what happened here. Why it picked up 0 5? DAT correct into DAT. Where did you replace that? Type that correct.
Rajesh, I think in 29th row, you have written that.
Correct. DATT will make it as DATT. Yeah, perfect. Okay, now let's run this. We printed the order number. Perfect. So now I'm going to say run on all rows. Now when I say run on all rows, automatically it will start picking up the next row and start running up. It will run for how many rows are enabled here.